Welcome back to the channel, Hobby1 Kenobi here. Well, I am now beginning to build the AFV Club M107. Before I continue, I would like to invite you to subscribe, and if you already have, remember to hit the bell to be notified when new videos are released. Okay, back to the model. I have always been fascinated by this vehicle. As a kid, I always loved the old Testors kit, which would be re-released by Accelerators and later Tamiya. Unfortunately, all of these kits were using the same molds, and we didn't get a modern update until this AFV Club kit. AFV Club announced a release of the M110, which was essentially the same vehicle but with a shorter barrel. I knew that if I waited long enough, the company would be sure to make an M107. And they did, but this kit wasn't available in the States until January of this year. I contacted Andy's Hobbies at the beginning of the year, and they informed me that the kit was expected to arrive in a few weeks. I checked their website almost daily, and when it showed up, I very quickly hit the order button. For those of you out there who complain that AFV Club kits have too many parts, sometimes the complaint is that they are over-engineered. This is not going to be the kit for you. This kit has 17 sprue. There are 12 steps to complete just the left side of the cannon base. The build begins with the chassis and wheels being placed. AFV then suggests adding the track at this point. However, since there are no side skirts, I'm going to add the tracks later. The tracks in the kit are vinyl, but I have a metal set from a company called R Model, which I will show you in a later video. I will say, however, that the R Model track are amazing, and if you plan to build this kit, go ahead and order a set now. You will not be disappointed. The detail, as expected, far surpasses that found in the previous mentioned Testors, Accelerators, Tamiya. As I understand, Accelerators bought the molds from Testors. Tamiya would use these same molds, but did a much better job to ensure that the pieces didn't have a particular molding defect, known as short shot. Short shot was all over the Testors model, and though the Tamiya Accelerators kits are better in this regard, since the molds are the same, the lack of detail is the same. Okay, let's now get into the building of this kit. The first few steps are straightforward. The first hiccup I encountered was a pin mark that I found in a very difficult place to remove. Because of the confined area, I used a panel line scriber to remove the raised mark. I could have also carved out the backing altogether, then glued plastic sheet to cover the back. Unfortunately, you will find that each and every piece has flash lines, which will need to be removed. There are also a number of pin marks, some raised, others sunken, many of which will in fact, unfortunately, be seen. There is an interior for the driver compartment. However, I will keep the driver's hatch closed. Even though it won't be seen, I went ahead and added the walls of the driver's compartment interior. I just wasn't sure if the walls were needed to support another part of the model at a later stage. I also decided that the details at the floor of the cannon turret would need to be painted and given a wash before I could proceed further. I mixed several Tamiya paints before I came to the olive drab I saw on my references. Now, a note about my references. I got David Doyle's M110 M107 book. As expected, this book has some good shots of the vehicle in use in the Vietnam War and later. However, many angles of the vehicle are missing in the two sets of walk-around photos. Despite this, I do suggest you pick the book up if you plan to build this model. Early in the book, we are shown 3 photos of the exact same vehicle. What is remarkable about these photos is that they appear to be taken on the same day, or at least within a few days. Two of the photos show the vehicle in exactly the same place, in fact. Notice, however, the difference in color. One is more drab than green, another is quite green but with a grayish tint. The last is a very dark color, almost black. This final color looks similar to the color I see in a lot of photos of other vehicles in the Vietnam War, namely the M113. These three photos now cause a real conundrum for me. Which photograph depicts the way the vehicle actually looked? How would the vehicle actually look if I were near it? In previous videos, I've talked about this, even noting that the colors of a vehicle will change depending on the weather. One color appears different in overcast than it does in a bright sunny day. Therefore, I've decided ultimately to choose the one color I like from these three photos and try to simply emulate that color. The arms for the wheels are a nice snug fit. At this point, I've decided to not glue the arms until the final stages of the build. If any adjustments to the arms are needed, I'll be able to deal with them at that time. The periscopes went in place easily, and a few drops of Tamiya liquid cement ensures that they will stay put. Once the interior places were in place, I coated everything with Mission Models gloss. Then after that coat dried, I began to apply a wash. The wash was made with my usual Winsor & Newton Artist Oils thinned heavily with terpenoid. When the wash dried, I removed the excess with Q-tips and a soft brush. sprayed the photo etch parts with Tamiya fine surface primer and began to remove the mesh pieces for the vents. These went on well and are much better than the molded details on the Accelerators Tamiya kit. I decided to create a box around each of these vents to prevent any viewing of the inside of the model. This was easily made with evergreen plastic. The vent behind the driver's hatch did have a gap, which was later filled with Vallejo plastic putty. Finally, I went ahead and removed some of these details that the instructions asked to be removed, and the hole was filled with plastic rod and trimmed flush, then coated with super glue and sanded smooth. Well, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for following along. If you do like this video, please hit subscribe and like, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.